Okay, so Jen and myself, and we have never presented on this before, so I'm worried about my timing a little bit. We may be off, we may be quick, we may be long, I don't know. So we'll just wing it and we'll see what happens with it. But you guys are the first to learn from us here at Model Schools about Blooket. This is, I think, the new review game. It's changing the standard for review, and hopefully it's something that you choose to use going forward in your classroom. I have just kind of a shameless plug at the beginning here. My YouTube channel is Parks and Education. If you just type that into YouTube, you can find all of my videos, but one of them that I have is on Blooket. So if you want to, I'll send this webinar out to you guys, the link to it. But also, if you just want to watch the video that I created on it, that is on my YouTube channel. And my website is parksandeducation.com. And email address, if you need to get a hold of me for whatever reason, I know just about everybody received an email from me, but it's tparks@ocmboces.org. Feel free to email me at any time throughout the school year with any questions. All right, so Blooket, what does it do? First thing that we wanted to do, especially with COVID and everything that happened and now going back into the classroom, hopefully, is we want to motivate students. We want to make sure that they're encouraged to participate. And we need something new than just the old games that keep getting recycled year after year. We want to be able to teach effortlessly. What's great about this and a lot of the sites that we see on these game platforms is that you're able to take sets that teachers make public and use them for yourself. You can also create your own questions really, really simply, and we'll talk about that in their set builder. The one thing that I will say is that this is great because it is completely free, except if you want to go ahead and take sets from other teachers and then edit them and make them your own, or just kind of pick and choose questions from different sets, that's where a fee comes in. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'll do my best Price is Right style for you, so don't go looking up the price on this just yet. And the last thing is you're able to customize this. We're going to talk about how you can do it as a whole class, how students are able to use different devices to play it. And then also you're able to use this as a homework for students. So they're able to kind of still challenge themselves, they're able to play, and it's able to be a little bit more fun way to deliver homework. Give me just a second, I gotta admit somebody. Okay. So I just kind of wanted to show you some highlights, some pictures that I took, and I'm just going to kind of run this video. Hopefully the sound is off. But as you can kind of see, hopefully these are different classrooms that I got to be a part of this year, a few of them anyways, and I got to videotape. You can see the one student is playing on their iPhone. In just a minute, I'll swing the camera over and you'll see somebody else is on a Chromebook. So students are able to use whatever device you'd like them to use to be a part of it, and in whatever environment. So if they're home or if they're at school. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, this was a really unique situation. The screen is all full of kindergarten students, and one of them was actually a student that was learning from South America in this group. And we literally... I taught the teacher. We were doing just a one-on-one that morning. And I said, okay, so when do you want to try this? And she's like, let's try it in the next half hour. And so we just wung it. And these kids, they're kindergarten kids, all remote, and they got it right away. So, and they loved it. They played it for the rest of the year, a lot of different games. So the video that I just showed, that was 11th grade. The top left corner, I think that's a 6th grade classroom that I was a part of. They gravitated toward it immediately. That was the first time being in there. And then all the way to remote kindergarten students. So every age range this works with. And I've seen it firsthand. So What are we going to learn today? So I kind of just went through a list. We're going to learn about Blooket and what are Blooks. We're going to talk about logging in and ed law compliance, which is great because Blooket is ed law compliant. I'll show you how. We're going to go over all the toolbars. We are going to look at the dashboard, how to create a set or how to take a set from someone else, so the pre-made sets. We're going to add questions from scratch. There is an advantage to using a Chromebook versus a PC from what I have found and played with. We're going to show you how to add questions if you have a Quizlet account. Quizlet's pretty cool. There is one caveat with Quizlet that I don't like that I'll talk about. We will talk about cost if you choose to go that route. We're going to talk about a solo game or a homework game versus hosting an event. We'll talk about sharing a set with another teacher, if I can remember that one. And most importantly, we're going to learn how to play. And that's what we're going to do first. We're going to hook you into this right away. I'm going to go to Blooket. I'm going to go to the login screen. And for teachers, you're going to log in with Google. So if I click on login, typically I've done this a couple of times, but a screen would show up the same as any prompt with Google where you're going to pick the correct email address that you want to choose to log in with. It is going to ask you your age, I believe, and you're just going to say that you're older than 13. And then you will have your teacher account. And then it gives a little welcome tour when you first come in. And since that's basically taking the place of my job, I'm going to say that we're going to click that for later. Up top, there are, actually I should say to the left and up top, there are two different toolbars. On the left, there's news, my sets, favorites, homework, history. We'll talk about all those in a minute. But up top, we can go ahead and the second icon over, I can go and look and just discover what's out there. And it will show you the most popular sets that they have right away. But you can search for anything that you want. And I'll give you some time to look things up. I know Helen Kemper, I think, is in this room, and she was saying that, you know, this is a new platform. And when I talked to and sent this video out to West Hill, I know they probably didn't have a lot of questions dealing with what she was looking for at the time. But I think over time and the more that teachers share, you're going to see more and more questions come up. So we're going to play right now. And so I'm going to click on what I want to do. We're going to do a nice, fun, easy one that's called Name That Logo. And you'll see all the different logos that are in this. You'll see that there are time that goes along with it. And since you guys are my class, I'm going to click on host as opposed to solo. So when I click on host, I, as the teacher now, get to choose which of the games I want to use. And not all of the games come up. Some of the games are actually for just hosting. Some of them are for individual use, and then some are for both. And the one that I love to play and I want you guys to experience is Gold Quest. So I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to let you kind of experience this. So I'm going to host the game. And when I go to this, it's now going to give me some options. So the first thing that I'm going to do, we can work with time or for gold. And you can see when I switch that, this underneath, I can change the minutes or I can change the amount of gold that you're going to accumulate to tell us when the game ends. And so right now I'm just going to do time. I'm going to put, let's say 5 minutes on the clock, and I can always end it. That's a nice thing about the teacher side of it. If I feel like I want to end it at any time, I've set it maybe too long, there's a button that I can go ahead and end it. I'm going to show the instructions and I'm going to allow late joining, but I'm not going to allow random names. I want to make sure that I'm using your name that you put in. And so since I'm all set, I'm going to click on time again. You can see it went back to 7 by default. So I'm going to go back down to 5 and hopefully I'm going to host now. And so I don't know if you can hear the music, but music is playing and that's a default setting. So in the top left corner, I click off of that. And so there's two different ways to do this. I'm going to, and you'll see people kind of start to come in quickly and easily, but you go to blooket.com/play and here's the code, or if you want to do this with Google Classroom, and I'll put this in the chat right now, as a teacher, I can click on copy join link. And this takes the code piece out of it, which is great for students because it will just allow them to go into the game. They don't have to worry about the code. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to our Meet and just go to the chat really quickly. There's the link inside of chat if you would like to do that. Oh, Jen, you're going to play? Looks like Jen's in there. So one of the things about this game, this particular game, is you're going to answer one question, correct or not. If you are not correct, it will freeze you for about 5 to 6 seconds. And time is everything in this game. You want to make sure that you answer not only the question correct, but you then have 3 boxes that they will present to you. And you'll click one of them, and it will offer you either gold. It will offer you a percentage of gold that they take away from you. It'll offer a percentage of gold that you increase by, or it'll tell you that you can take gold away from somebody else. So you could take 25% away from another classmate. You could possibly swap with another classmate. And so that's one thing that I really liked. When I taught math, I taught a lot of AIS math. And I wanted to make sure that I had something for my students with CT classes and ICT classes where it wasn't just about speed and smarts. It was going to keep the student engaged the whole time, whether they got 50 questions right or just 2 questions correct. And if a student was able to get a swap, they're able to go from worst to first just by swapping the score with somebody else. So everyone has a level playing field, and it's just kind of a lot of fun as we get going here. So we've got 25 players. I think I have 28, 29 people. So I'll wait just another second or so. Let me know in the chat if you don't want to play, that's fine. If you are having trouble getting in, please put that in the chat and Jen will let me know. I'll give it a 10-second countdown here.
Todd, to confirm, we should all be in a lobby waiting for you to start the game. Yes.
Thanks, Jen. Okay. Everybody should be in a lobby, and then you get to pick your Blook. And what you'll notice is that I believe it is just kind of faded out if somebody else has chosen that particular character. So everyone's going to have their own.
Todd, we do have a couple participants that just want to watch, and they're not going to participate in the game. So if you're looking for a specific number, that might be
it. Okay. So I'm at 26 players. I don't know if you could still see my screen if you're going back and forth, but if you want to go back to my screen really quickly, you'll notice that I have all of the names in front of me. I see that there are 26 players, and I'm just waiting to start. If I find someone, like a student puts a weird name or an inappropriate name, or somebody is in there that I don't want, all I have to do is go over the top of this, and you'll see that line that goes through their name. If I clicked them, it would kick them out. And they'd have to go in with a different name or just stay out of the game. All right.
Todd, sorry to interrupt. Mrs. Capone is actually asking for you to delete so that she can rejoin.
Oh, okay. Is that the name that she put in?
I'm not sure.
Let's see. Tracy. Tracy C. Okay. Kicked her out. So I'll wait for her to come back in and we'll hit start.
The anticipation, I can't wait.
This is no holds barred, people, all right? So I want you to make sure that you understand that. You go after whoever you want. We're going to hit start, and good luck, everybody. So some instructions are coming up, hopefully, where you're collecting gold. You're going to take from others. The most gold after 5 minutes will win. And the clock has started. And so as you're playing on your screen, you can always switch back to my screen, and what you're going to see is you're going to start to see gold being accumulated and the leaderboard gets switched. And you're also going to see on the teacher screen what people are doing to each other. So Kaylee just swapped with Mrs. K. Mrs. K just stole 18 gold from Kevin H. Nicole just stole 10 gold from Ronnie, and so on and so forth. So it's going to keep an ongoing list of what you are doing to each other. It's also going to keep a total of the amount of gold that your class has accumulated. So you're able to see it from the student side, and then you'll be able to see it at the end on the teacher side. I know everybody's, Mrs. K killing it with 2,000 already. Oh, as quick as it comes, it leaves just as fast. I know these are just logos that you guys are playing around with, but you can think of it in a Spanish class at West Hill. They were working on vocabulary and what that vocabulary means, and making sure that students were up to date so that they could take their regencies or their final exams with all of the different ways that those words could be said. And they did an amazing job with it. So you could think about your content as you're playing and how you could use this, at least for the Gold Rush game here. Jen, what are you getting them wrong? Where are you?
Gone. I just answered the Gmail one incorrectly. Look, you distracted me.
Jen, you can't say that out loud. We're supposed to be running this. You can see how everything grows exponentially here very quickly. There's a little math term for you. The class is already up to almost 1 million gold, so that you can see. Oh, wow. Well past 1 million now.
Todd, do the questions repeat themselves?
They will. So depending on how many questions and how much time you have, something like this, it's a quick game where you're going to get the answer pretty quickly. So it will cycle back around. I think there's 25 logos, maybe a little bit less on this one. So they will recycle, which is good, because if you miss something the first time, maybe you'll get it the second time that it comes around, hopefully. Just depends on how long, how tough are the questions, and how many questions you have. The other thing that always comes up is a little bit of strategy. You know, middle school and high school kids, they'll always try to hack something. And one of the things that students tried to do was, now that we're down to a minute left in this game, is that they would try to hold on to a swap when they got that in a chest and just wait for the last second and then swap with the leader and win. What you'll notice is that if you hold on to something and you don't actually take gold from somebody else, or you don't swap, it will time you out, I think, in about 9 to 10 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. So if you decide to hold on to it and you don't make a choice, it will time you out. Oh my gosh, we're at 0.2 billion for some.
There was a little hack that showed up when I played it at the end of the year, that some random person showed up, and I did look it up. That there was happening, but it only happened once. So,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was weird.
Maybe somebody gave the code out, and there it is. It ended. It is now on my screen. If you go back, it is showing the top 3 players. And so Ronnie with, oh my goodness, 795,447,207 gold. Carol and Kevin come in second and third. And so you can see on my screen as the teacher, I'm able to scroll down and see all of the standings. That's really one of the nice things. On your screen, you're able to see what your percentage correct to incorrect is. So a little bit of self-assessment there for you to look at. And that's really the first piece where it's like, okay, what am I really getting free and what do I actually have to pay for? If I click on my screen and click on view report, you'll see the limited piece that I get correct. My class got 96% correct. So you guys know your logos for the most part. There were only 43 correct answers, one of them being Jen's, which I'm very disappointed in, Jen. You're staying after class. But I'm able to kind of see where everybody was at. And then once again, I'm able to go down and you can see some people left a little bit early before the stats actually took place, but I'm able to see everybody's stats and how many they may have gotten correct or how many they may have missed. After that, that's really where the stats end. And I haven't actually paid for this. I do have one teacher that did, but I didn't get a chance to get back and work with her before the end of the year. But I want to look and see what they actually get, how intricate it goes, because I'd like to see Blooket show the questions that students are getting wrong. Obviously, you want to go and make sure that if everyone is getting the same, or the majority of your students are getting the same question wrong, that's telling you you've got to go back and reteach. That's the data that we want to collect as teachers going forward. Okay, so from here, where do we want to go? Well, let's see. We are going to play a different one a little bit later, but I'm going to go back to the main screen. Hopefully you guys like that one. That was one of my favorite ones. I'm going to start on the left side because I feel like the left side is a little less need to know than the top. The very first one is just news, and they do have different games that come out. Some of them are seasonal. They'll put them out just for different seasons to add a little new flavor to what you're doing. Crypto Hack, I played it once. It is very similar to what we just played. They've kind of modeled it along the same side of it. And then you'll see some new things that they're trying to look at. The Lost Desert, which is very similar to another one that we might try a little bit later on. But any of their news you can find there. Next is my sets, and that's what I'm in here. I had a couple that I was playing around with, that I was testing things out, grabbed actually a set from another teacher, and then one that I started on my own. And I'll show you how to create these in just a minute. Favorites, if you find any sets that you like, and we'll search for those, you can mark it as a favorite. So if I went back to Discover here, and let's go here, and I like the logo set, I'm going to mark it as a favorite by using the star. Very similar to any sort of website with Chrome. And now, if I go back home, let's go back to the dashboard. That should show up. So you're able to mark things that you like and keep that library there. And I always encourage teachers, especially at the beginning of the year, do something fun like this to get your students understanding what Blooket is, how to play, how it works, and then you can interject that content. So a little bit of a hook for you. Homework, if we assign homework, and we can learn how to assign homework by clicking here, that would show up on the left-hand side, and then any history that you have. So our Name the Logo game that we just did, that shows up, and I'm able to go back and look at this, look at the stats if I want to, and then I can also delete any past games that I had. Jen, how we doing? Questions? Anything?
We are good so far.
Perfect. Okay. If you're just looking to play, you can click that play button, and then you would click your game ID. So basically, this is that website in order to go and send to your kids if you want to give them the actual game ID. Me personally, especially with Google Classroom, I like using that link where you're already have the game code in. They just have to type in their name. Discover is just that. Discover is go ahead and look up what it is that you're looking for. So if I wanted to type in multiplication facts, I don't know, someone, Jen, will you see who that is and just see if they can mute themselves? Someone's typing in the background. You're going to be able to see what I really like is the amount of questions that are here and then how many plays it's gotten. And so you can see it was 4 months ago. This was made 12 days ago. This was edited a month ago, but you're going to say, okay, 92,000 plays on this one. I bet it's pretty good. So you could click on it and then you'd be able to see exactly what it is that they have, their time limit. And then you can also go down to the answers. So you can see these are faded out and the answer is 9. And so that one is highlighted. 3 times 4, 12. 5 times 3, 15. And it is making it looks like all of the answers are the first one in all of these, but it is a random answer order. So it will mix them up for you. That's what this person has chosen. We could favorite it. We could report it if something isn't correct. And we can also duplicate it. Like I said, when you duplicate it and you want to make it yourself, I believe you can't edit any of the questions to make them your own. You can only go ahead and kind of make it your own set from what is already created, unless you go ahead and go to the subscription part of this. Okay, third one over. So we've got play up top. We've got discover. The dashboard just takes us back to our sets, whatever we choose. And then the fourth one over is probably the one that we're going to get our hands in the most, and that's create. So creating a question set. The first thing that you can do is you can give it an image. So you can upload by URL. You can go to your image gallery on your computer, or you could upload a file, or you could just leave it blank. It doesn't matter. I'm going to call this 7th grade math review because I pulled up some questions, I think from the latest 7th grade math assessment. You can give a description about this if you'd like to, but the title is required. And then, do you want to make it private or public? If you want to share with other teachers, especially teachers that are in your building, you do have to make it public. Public will allow you to find and have a link that you can give to other teachers so that they're able to use it. If you just want to make it private only for you and your class, that's what you would click on. So we'll go back to that in a minute. And then creation method, manual, or do we want to pull questions in from Quizlet? And so I'm going to actually go through the Quizlet piece here for just a second, and we'll see how this works. So we're going to create our set. I just clicked that button on the right-hand side. And since it knows, hey, you want to pull things from Quizlet, step one is you've got to find your set. So do you want to go to your Quizlet or do you want to search Quizlet? Well, I'm going to search for something here. It's signing me into my account. And then I'm going to go ahead and look for, let's say, 7th grade math. See if something comes up. So here's the one thing that I said about Quizlet that I really love. And then the other part that I don't love as much is that with Quizlet, you can put pictures in here. If you don't, whatever you grab from Quizlet, you're not allowed to go ahead. It's not going to bring the pictures into Blooket for you. So you want to make sure that if you're doing definitions or whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that it's not just all pictures because it will not translate. It's only going to translate over anything that was typed out. Okay, now I've got to remember how I did this before because I've done it once. I believe it's down here. And I want to go to share. Let's see. Nope, that's the wrong one. I know it is now. I'm going to go. Oh, of course, Quizlet, you want to do that to me. Give it just a second to load. Should be going to the 3 dots. And I believe I want to go down to embed. I'm going to copy the HTML. I just want to see real quick what combine is. Nope, combine's not it. This is the part. So I'm going to go to the next step. So here's where it is, the 3 dots. Oh, export. See, I was wrong. So we're going to export it. You're going to click on those 3 dots. It is going to tell you to go down to export. And then under the drop-down menu in export is we're going to copy the text. Once we copy that text, we're going to click on next step. So even if you forget it, just like I did, you're going to be able to do it. And it's going to give you directions every time. Okay. Click on the copy text button. It copied all of that text. I'm going to go back to my Blooket. And I'm going to paste. It's going to take just a second. And now you will see that it is put in all of the questions and then all of the answers as well. Over here, you guys will see that it's a random question, random answer order, and that our time is 15 seconds. If you want to edit any of this, you can click on that edit button. Your time limit you can change, so you can make it larger or smaller, depending on what you'd like. And then if you don't want the answers in a random order, you would just uncheck that box. Once you are set, if you want to change any of the answers that are here, you could obviously change that, or any of the wording that is here. You can change that as well. Just make sure you click save. And this one had, let's see, this one had a lot of, I didn't realize how many questions it had. This one had 216. So I don't think they would repeat, at least not that often. They would have to go through all 216 questions in order for this to work. But that's how you can go ahead and import a set using Quizlet. We would save this set. And now you can see that my review is here with 216 questions ready to be played. You can use it as a solo or a host. Jen, we doing okay?
Yeah, there is one question. I don't know where it's really applicable, but just at some point, reinforcing the join with EdLaw 2D compliance for students.
Sure.
It was on your agenda. I just wanted to make sure that it was covered.
Yeah, the link that we shared right there, or the code that was shared, students don't have to log in using Google. They don't have to provide any user information that identifies them other than their name. And at that point, you could have them put initials in if you wanted them to. And really, that is it. There's no identifying features, and Blooket is not collecting any information. So if they're not logging in with Google, which is half of it, I mean, there are some features inside of Blooket that make it fun for the kids. If we could get them to sign a contract for EdLaw. Right now, I know that they have not signed, and they are not on the Erie One contract for being safe to have students log in. If that changes, we'll hopefully get that information out to teachers. But right now, you can play using the code, and that's fine. Okay, I wanted to create one, and I wanted to just show you how to create a question. And I'm a big snipping tool guy. I want to make sure that I grab questions from old assessments and then present them to my students. And just like anything, this can be a little labor intensive, but once it's done, and you're able to share it. If you make it public, maybe you team up with a couple other teachers. I say math teachers because that's what I was. And you create one and then they create another one and you're able to share between your classes. Okay, so I'm going to call this math test. I'm going to make this one public for everyone. And I'm going to now try it manually from scratch. So I'm going to click create my set. So here's where I didn't add a picture to it, but I could do that, of course. And I'm going to click on add a question. So image gallery, upload by URL, or upload a file. There's a couple different things, little hacks that I like to show, because I know me being a PC user for so long, I've found that using a Chromebook makes it really, really easy. When you go ahead and use the snipping tool on a Chromebook, it's automatically saved and you're able to grab it and pull it in very quickly. With a PC, you've got to stop, save it, name it, put it in a folder, and do a lot of organization. And I hated that part of it. So I'll kind of give you an add-on, whether you want to use it or not. That's up to you. But I'm going to go to, I pulled up a 7th grade assessment, and I am going to just use the new snip and sketch tool. And so I'm just going to grab everything from this. And what I'm going to do now is I like going to remove.bg. I know Jen in the last session, if you're a part of it, she said this is one of my favorite sites. It is. I'm just going to paste what I have snipped. And what this does is it is removing the background. And so I really don't want that for these questions. This isn't something where it's a picture and I want, the background to be gone. I'm going to go back to original here. And then what I'm able to do is I'm able to copy the image address. So this has created its own image address for my picture. For me, this is a lot easier than filing things away and then also bogging my computer down with pictures that I really don't want. And then I'm able to upload by URL. So I'm going to paste that URL in here and upload it, and there's my question. So when you get used to that process of just kind of cutting, pasting inside of remove, and then grabbing the link, it becomes a quicker process for you. You do need to put something in here for the question, even if it's just a space, I found. And then your answers, you can just put A, B, C, and D if you're able to see that. I believe that letter A is the correct answer, so you do have to put that as well. And then this is really interesting. You've got to deal with your time limit. I think it goes up to 999 seconds is the most, if I remember correctly. So you could put that in as your maximum time limit, but there is no option to turn that off. And then your random answer order, I always like to keep that on as well. So I'm going to give the max time for that so that people could go on. Oh, it won't let me. Oh, I thought 999. Maybe they backed it off. Last time that I did it, it was. So let's go 180 seconds. They must have changed that. And then all of your answers are right here, A through D. I mean, randomizing an A through D doesn't really make sense, but it's something to think about as you're going ahead and making this. Some people like to go ahead and actually type out what the answers are that they gave you. And that's something that you could do. But given variables and with math, with fractions and weird signs, I know I always like to grab and just put those answers as A, B, C, and D and actually have the answers as part of the question. Okay. Any questions? It sounds pretty good right now.
Todd, we do have one question about some data. So it's not related to what you're currently doing, but I'll just throw it out there for you. If the students are using the join code, do the teachers have access to analytics for each individual student? Like, what does that data come through? What that comes through look like?
So if I go down to history and go back to what we had right here, the data basically looks like the name that was put in, and then how many questions they got correct and how many questions they got incorrect. Again, I haven't played with the paid version of this, but I will go in and kind of read for you what Blooket says. They do have more in-depth analytics, which I gotta believe has to do with what questions they're getting correct or incorrect as they're playing. So you're kind of able to hopefully dive down into what needs to be retaught for your students if you go to the paid version of this. But the history is there. Even though that nobody was logged in and no one created an account for this, you're able to see the statistics and they're able to stay as long as you don't delete it.
So in summary, the data comes through based on the username that the student typed in when they joined with the numerical code.
You got it.
Okay, thanks, Todd.
You're welcome. The other part of it is that when you are part of Blooket and you are logged in, when you are playing, and this is the nice part I wish they would sign, because students would be able to see all the different games that they played. They would be able to see how many wins they would have, how many top 5 finishes they would have. And then the different games have different things that go with it. So cash at the end of the factory games, how many players you defeated in different game modes. The factory game, it has stats on all of these things. Time before things were reset, your total amount of gold, how many games you've played. All of these are in here. And then your last 10 games, it gives the stats of where you may have finished. And then it also gives your Blooket usage. Do you have one that you favorite more than the other? I just typically tend to pick the horse. I don't know why. But that's the one that I use. So those things are pretty cool. And then the other part of it that the students won't be able to get to participate in if they're not logged in is the market side of it. They can buy different Blooks. So as they participate, they gain money. And they can go and spend that money on different Blooks. So if I go to the space box, do I want to purchase one of these for 20 tokens? I can say yes. And I open up that question mark. They don't get to pick, but you can see that I just got the alien, which is an uncommon Blook. So that one right there, that one's a good one to keep in my repertoire. So yeah, that's something that unfortunately they're not going to be able to participate in until we get that signed. If I go to Blooks, which is the suitcase up top, you can see that which ones are common and then which ones are locked. The alien would have been locked, but now I'm able to use that one. And I can also sell it back. When you go to these that you buy, you can see I have a dragon that's rare. It's worth 20 coins, dollars, whatever they said. I can actually sell it back if I want to get the money for it to try to buy something else. So that's just a different piece to the game that they put in there for the students. Okay, we're at 11:18. Wow, we're really, this is cruising. So I want to play another one with you guys. It's one that I really like, and I'm really going to put some of you to the test. I looked at these, and I don't know if I know all of them, and I have some young kids. If I was to do the solo, just to let you know, solo is going to give you the different game modes that you're allowed to play. You can see there's only 5 of them when we deal with solo. And so this is something where you could assign it to students for homework. They would complete it to whatever the best of their ability is or whatever parameters you set, and then they would turn that in. But I want to obviously play it against one another. So I'm going to go back. We're going to host this game. This one I think has 50 different types of characters. And if you haven't had kids for a while, you're going to have a hard time, I think, for this one. But the one that I wanted to play was Factory, because this one is where you're going to get a Blook, and between upgrading it or understanding a little bit of math here, unit rate, how much money it's making for you every second, your goal is to have the most money at the end. The other thing with this game is they have some what they call glitches. So if you don't want to bring in, you get, I think, 10 Blooks that you can bring in that make money for you, and you can swap them out if you need to or upgrade them. But you can also mess around with everybody else. So I'll let you see what those glitches are and definitely use them to play and kind of distract your other teammates. So going back, I'm going to make this one, given our time, I'll make it another 5 minutes. You can allow the glitches as power-ups, so I'm going to leave that because that's fun. Late joining, I'll put in. Random names, I'm not. I'm going to set it as time. If I click that time again, just be aware, it always goes back to the default whenever you click, or you could go by cache. I'm going to go by time, and I'm going to click host now. I'm going to mute my music. Here is blooket.com/play and the code. I'm also going to copy that link, and I'll put it in the chat one more time. And I expect a better showing out of you this time, please. I will talk about the rest of them after this game. There's a tower defense one. It's very similar to what kids play when they're trying to play games on their computers on their own, but this is it makes it educational at least a little bit. This one, you're going to answer questions. I think you have to get 3 correct in order to get a Blook that will start making you money. All right, we're at 25 players. I'm going to start it just because of time, and then there is late arrival. So if you are having trouble getting in, you are able to get in even if you haven't gotten in already. And away we go. So on my teacher screen, as you guys are getting directions, most likely the clock is going down. I'm waiting for the action to begin. And again, it's giving me my leaderboard on the left-hand side and the amount of money that you guys are going to make total. This is one where there are 50, I think, questions. So they, you know, it's going to be tough to repeat. But you do, I believe, have to get 3 questions correct. There's one of the glitches. D6 activated the jokester glitch. And that shows up on my teacher dashboard. I think the nice thing about this game also is it will give you reminders that, hey, you know, to get ahead, you may want to use your money to upgrade one of these Blooks. And that will make you produce money faster per second. A lot more money, I guess I should say. So a little bit of strategy, a little bit of math strategy within this particular game. This is one also where, if you think about it, compared to Gold Rush, where you're answering a couple of different questions as opposed to just one question. So think about that when you're putting content out there. You don't want to put 3 difficult questions. Kids might get discouraged and kind of give up on the game. So you're going to go through and you're going to kind of learn what kind of questions you want to present with what type of game. Oh my goodness, someone just made the whole screen backwards. There's a glitch I've seen that spins your screen. There's one that I can't remember. I want to say it multiplies the screens all over your screen. Maybe it shakes it. There's a lot of weird ones. Jokester glitch. There's the spin. The vortex glitch makes me dizzy. I can't look at it. Hashtag glitch. Ooh, I haven't seen the nighttime one. That's a new one for me. I feel like they keep coming out with different ones. We are down to a minute. So strategy does come in, because do you want to spend your money on upgrading your Blooks? Do you want to keep it to try to win? Where are you going to end up? The lunch break glitch. Pausing the screen. We're down to under 30 seconds, people. It's now or never to make your move to get into the top 3. Into the vortex we go. And that's the end. Uh-oh, we had a move right at the end. Did it come in? Josh comes away with the victory on my final standings. Whoops. And what you're able to see here, again, I can view the report, I can play again, but I can go down and see where everybody ended up. The entire list. If I view report, same exact thing. 87% correct. Wow, that was way better than I thought. You guys know your TV show characters for sure. 110 incorrect. And so you'll be able to see right away who has children and who may not have some children and doesn't know their cartoons. So I'm going to stop the video here. I know that there are a lot of games that we didn't talk about, and I'm going to put the video that I did on YouTube. It has basically, it has timestamps in the description, but it also has chapters along in the timeline. You're going to be able to jump to any part of the video that you want to learn about. The one that is not in there because it's new is the crypto game that they just came out with. And then any seasonal games that they come out with that you may see wouldn't be in there either, but it gives you the rundown of what you're looking for.